So I was taking a look at this console on stream yesterday, and we had actually a situation where the customer's NAND was bent and the PCB seemingly was potentially bent as well. You can see here in the stream I took the NAND off of the PCB, and against a flat surface you can see it's like very clearly bent. This was sort of my diagnosis of the switch, that they had damaged the NAND when pulling it off of the board in order to put it onto the PicoFly core. This is a very common way that these NANDs get damaged. Usually the solder balls crack underneath the NAND, and I don't actually see a NAND that is bent ever, really. This was the first time I've seen a bend in the NAND. So just as sort of like a last ditch effort on stream, we reballed and put the NAND on a new PCB here. So you can see this is the old one. But after testing, unfortunately, the console exhibited the exact same issues, where the console had a purple screen and the NAND was not initializing in Hecate. Now, normally on an OLED console, this would make me immediately go and check that command resistor. However, in this case, because it's a V2, you don't actually ever solder to any of the resistors on here. And this is what the customer had attempted to install, was this chip. So it's not like they were soldering to the board or anything. So I had no reason to believe that resistors were burned or anything like that. Anyways, here I am today, just sort of like taking a look at this console, and I'm like, all right, let me do a level 3 unbrick on this thing so that at least he can use it with custom firmware. And then I discovered something. So I have this other donor NAND module that I was going to use for the level 3 unbrick. But interestingly enough, when I put this chip in the console exhibited the exact same issues. So this made me realize that there's definitely something wrong with the motherboard. I thought maybe their chip had some issues, so I used a separate PicoFly core chip, a brand new one, and I had the exact same issues with the new NAND module. So all of these things are pointing towards issues with the board. And I was moving some footage around on some different hard drives this morning, and I was like, let me just take a look at this board and compare it to a different one. I just decided to start poking around on the resistors that are on this NAND connector here. And if you look at the board view, we have actually a few different pins that go to some of these either resistor footprints or actual resistors here. So these two pins here on the NAND connector is either the 1.8 volts, or I think this is the 3.3 actually, coming from our 3.3 volt regulator over here to the NAND. So this is where the NAND gets 3.3 volts. This here is the 1.8 volts down here. And then these are all the data pins here, sort of scattered in between these ground points. So all of those green points here are ground, and then all of these points are going to be data pins. So that's going to be stuff like the D0, D1, et cetera, pins. And then we're going to have like clock and command. So I just started measuring here and here and here in diode mode. And if you check in diode mode, I just started with these resistors here, which is going to be the first few data pins. We have about 0.4 voltage drop here, and we have 0.27 here, 0.27 here as well. And then here we have 0.51 or 0.48, actually a little bit lower. So I decided, let's just check the diode mode measurements and compare it to this board here, which is a donor I had lying around. And if you check the resistor up here, we also have 0.4 there, about pretty similar so far. 0.24 similar, but over here we're getting a pretty big difference. We're getting a 0.07 voltage drop difference. This is 0.57 voltage drop. This was enough to make alarm bells go off for me. And next I decided to test this resistor in circuit with the resistance mode, and you can see we're getting pretty similar to that 4.7K resistor that we have on the OLED. So I'm pretty sure this is actually acting as the same resistor. And remember, when this one goes high on the OLED, it's going to give us the purple screen issue. And if we check that same resistor over here on the customer's console in resistance mode, we have 700 kilo ohms. So I believe this resistor actually did go open circuit or went high resistance. I don't know why it would have. You can see here it's actually in the mega ohms. We're reading in the mega ohms. So that must have gone open circuit. And I have no idea why it would have gone open circuit, because normally on the OLED, that will go open circuit when you apply too much heat to it. In this case, the customer would never have, as far as I know, applied heat in this area for any reason. You can run wires manually for these points from here and here and here. But when you do solder and run wires directly to a chip, normally you're going to be using these here, these test pads. And actually, if you check, this one is one of the ones you solder to, and it connects directly to this resistor here. And if you want to take a guess as to which point this is, you're probably going to be correct, because if you look at the PDF here, it's the command point. So it's the exact same resistor. It's that 4.7K ohm resistor for the command point, but it's on the V2 console instead. So I actually didn't know that that resistor was the same command resistor. It makes a lot of sense because it's on the same command point. And my guess is that this is going to be our main issue with this board. I would be still pretty surprised if the customer's NAND works after seeing the state of it, how it's all bent like that. But it is entirely possible that it's still a functional NAND. So let's go ahead and replace that resistor and see what happens. It's so interesting. I've never had this problem ever before. Even back when people were running wires directly, this is not really something I've ever seen burn, and I don't really know why this would have happened. So I'm just pulling that resistor off there. Cool. So now that we have that resistor replaced, let's let the board cool down a bit, and then we can test with the known good NAND first. Make sure that this thing can now read from the NAND, and then we can give it a test with the customer's NAND and see if the NAND works, which would be pretty mind-blowing, but it's possible. All right, so the board is nice and cooled. Let's plug in the power and see what we get from the NAND now. So it's glitching still. It was glitching before. This does glitch actually without the command point. And moment of truth here, EMC, we get a reading. So that was the issue. This is not the customer's NAND though, so we're not gonna be able to boot to anything with this NAND installed. But we can at least see that it is reading now from the NAND. You can see from my stream, this is what it looked like before. It showed that you couldn't read anything from the NAND, that the EMC was not able to initialize in any way. So this board's now fixed. We have a reading. So let's go and put the customer's NAND in here and see what we get. It's definitely not something I'm expecting to work, but nonetheless, we will give it a shot. In the very least, we can now do a level 3 on brick and get this guy's switch up and running with custom firmware. So here is the customer's NAND that we reballed and put on the new NAND board. Let's turn it on. It's glitching like it was last time, so this again doesn't say anything about whether or not the contents of the NAND are okay. But moment of truth here, EMC. Whoa, we actually have data. That's crazy. Wow, I was not expecting that. So yeah, before we do anything else, we need to get a NAND backup. I'm not going to do anything else here before we get a NAND backup. I'm not even going to boot into official firmware to see if it works. We're just going to dump keys from the system NAND. We got all the keys. This is great news. And now I'm going to dump boot 0, boot 1, and let's see if that succeeds. Oh, that's amazing. It's actually able to read from the NAND. That's so cool. So amazingly, the bent NAND works. I don't know how that thing works. I sort of wrote it off yesterday on the stream. Let me get a heatsink on this thing and dump the GPP partition. That is just absolutely mind-blowing to me that we were able to save this switch. I did not think this was fixable. What this does mean is that I did waste quite a bit of time yesterday reballing and reflowing and replacing the daughter board on the NAND to see if we could fix it that way. But you know, this is how you learn, and this is how you gain context for console boards, or any PCBs for that matter, is you waste a lot of time, to be honest. And the main thing I learned from this in terms of like my troubleshooting approach is I really should zero in on exactly where the issue is. I made the mistake of not testing another known good NAND with the Picofly before to see if we could read from it. If I had done that, that would have immediately told me that there was something wrong with the board and not the NAND module. Even though the NAND module did look suspicious and I had good reason to believe that it was the NAND module, I should have still taken the time to test a known working NAND with the console. That's basically what I learned with this console here, is that like there are more efficient sort of troubleshooting workflows that you can build up for yourself that are going to get you to a resolution faster overall. It doesn't mean that, you know, doing that in every case where we see damage on the NAND is going to get us to a place where it's just the NAND's going to magically work. However, it's a better and more logical and methodical fault finding process versus just going straight to a reball or straight to a reflow of the NAND. So that's on me, honestly. I should have, and I will in the future, just test a known working NAND module That being said, this is a really weird scenario. I've never seen this before. Number one, I've never seen a NAND module that looked like that. And number two, I've never seen an issue where the 4.7 kilo ohm command resistor burns on the V1, V2 boards. That's usually not the kind of thing that breaks on these boards. Usually people short components on the SoC, or they crack the solder balls underneath the NAND module by prying it off from the adhesive here. It's rarely going to be issues outside of that, unless we have charging issues or power issues. That's separate. But like for modding failures like this, really, really strange issue. Never seen this one before. But yeah, give me a moment here. I'm going to get a NAND backup and we'll come back and see if the console actually functions in official firmware. I think it probably will if I were to guess. So here we are. I'm immediately grabbing a raw NAND backup here. We can flash that NAND backup that we have to a brand new NAND module, and it will actually, it'll work. So this is a really important thing to grab as soon as we possibly can, especially for a NAND that looks suspicious like that. I probably will even grab another NAND, a non-working NAND I have. I'll keep this one for testing purposes, but I'll grab another one from a donor, and we can actually restore the NAND to that module just so that we can be sure the NAND is going to be functional long-term for the customer. I just don't quite trust that NAND. It looks really strange, even though it works. And it probably will work for an extended period of time if I were to guess. I just don't trust it. So I'm going to flash the backup to a known working NAND. So I will see you guys on the other side of this backup. All right, so we have the NAND fully backed up now, and we're going to try booting into the official firmware and see what we get. We got low battery, so let's just make this quick. Wow, look at that. This switch is just functional now, I think. See if it gets to second stage. Yep. Wow. I'm surprised. So fully functional. I'll still, oh, this is just complaining because of the SD card. I'll still definitely write this NAND backup to a brand new NAND module because I don't trust the bent NAND. But it's really cool that this thing works. I was not expecting that. We have a full NAND backup and keys and everything, so the console's officially saved. I figured I'd show you guys the process of restoring to the new NAND. It's not very complicated. But I got the new NAND module in here. This is just the donor NAND. This is the customer's original NAND that we have a backup of on the SD card. I moved the SD card to the computer, and I dragged all of the files within the backup folder to the restore folder. So the boot 0, boot 1, and all of the raw NAND files, we moved those into that restore folder, and we will be able to get this restored now. So I'm going to plug the battery in. I'm going to have to plug this switch in while it restores. Cool. And now from here, I'm just going to go to Tools, Restore eMMC. We're going to restore the boot 0, boot 1 here. Wait for it to say, are you sure? This won't work unless you move the backup files into that restore folder. So I'm going to press power to accept and to go ahead. And weirdly enough, it didn't find the restore files. I don't know why that is. I did move them. Oh, I see. Because we're using a new NAND, we have a different hash here. So what we have to do actually is force a backup here. I'm going to back up just boot 0, boot 1. This is actually going to go to a different backup folder. So I'll show you actually on the computer when I move the SD card over why this restore didn't work. In order for this to work, we have to just force generate this little backup folder because this number changes depending on the NAND chip you have in the console. So you can see here we have the contents of the SD card, and if I go into the backup folder, we actually have two. So this was the one I had earlier. This is the customer's original NAND, and this is sort of like the ID, I think, or something like that of the NAND. I'm not actually too sure what that string of numbers and letters is. If someone knows, please throw that in the comments. I'm curious. But yeah, you can see in this restore folder within this customer's NAND, I put their whole NAND backup in this restore folder so that we could restore to it. But in this case, we actually have to move this to the restore of this particular NAND, which is the new one, the donor one, and we have to put them in here. So you won't see this folder until you initiate a backup. So let me just go ahead and move them in here. It'll take 2 seconds because it doesn't actually have to copy anything. It just has to sort of redirect where those files are stored on the same storage device. Saves us a bit of time, and now I can eject this SD card and we can throw this guy back into the console, and our restore should work now. Let's try this one more time. So boot 0, boot 1, and you'll see this time it's going to succeed. So before we got a message that it couldn't find the files, but here it actually did restore. So now we can restore the raw NAND here, the raw GPP. And what this is going to do is allow us to use the console as if it was new, but with a different NAND. So because I don't trust this bent up NAND and we got all the data we needed off of it, we're going to be able to use a brand new one. So I'm going to press power here to confirm. It's going to take a few minutes here to copy all of the contents from the SD card to the NAND, but once this is restored, we should have a fully functional console with a reliable NAND that we can get back to the customer. So I'll get back to you once this is finished. All right, so the NAND restoration process just finished actually. Perfect. And now we can boot into the official firmware and make sure the NAND restore actually did work. So let's go to reboot, OFW, and it does boot. Perfect. Let's see if second stage works. Looks like second stage also works. So this console is 100% fixed now. We have a fully new NAND chip in there with the old contents on it, and the console works fine. This is just a pop-up here telling me that the switch data on the SD card I put in here is from a different switch, so it has to delete it. But this is 100% working, and I am really happy. I didn't think that NAND was functional whatsoever on stream. I just totally wrote it off, not gonna lie. But again, that just goes to show the importance of the sort of troubleshooting steps that you should take to figure out what is wrong on a console or on any device for that matter, and to use all of the tools you have at your disposal and not just write things off because they look bad. Although I have to cut myself some slack because this was a really strange issue for a V2. But yeah, I hope you guys learned something. I certainly did from this one. But otherwise, I appreciate you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.